Yeah, I mean, what happened yesterday with Trump and Putin was just too good not to talk about today. And tomorrow, there'll be plenty to talk about because tomorrow we've got Zelensky in on it. So tomorrow, Zelensky is coming to Washington, D.C. And here's the thing. It went so badly on Friday. It was such an utter defeat and humiliation for the Americans that Zelensky and the Europeans are convinced that Trump is going to go ballistic on Zelensky. That what came out of Friday is clearly a Putin victory and Trump siding with Putin. And they are really, really, really worried. I mean, they were worried about the meeting between Putin and Trump, but now they're really worried about this meeting between Zelensky and Trump and the fact that Trump will try to bully Zelensky. In a sense, what Putin did to Trump, Trump will now try to do to Zelensky. And they're petrified. And as a consequence of that, they're sending a whole entourage to Washington, D.C. Not only is Zelensky coming to the White House, but we have a list of people who are going to join him, starting with European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen, something like that. She will be joining President Zelensky. In addition, Secretary General of NATO, you know, the guy who called Trump daddy or something like that, Mark Rutte, something like that. The Dutch out there can correct my pronunciation, will also be joining Zelensky. But that's not all. The president of the Republic of France, Emmanuel Macron, is getting on a plane and flying tomorrow to Washington, D.C. to be in the meeting with Zelensky. I think he hopes, although it's not clear he's going to be invited. And that's not all. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is going to join as well. I mean, I don't know. Who else? I mean, all we need now is Greta. Greta should come. Europeans should send their best. This is how afraid they are of Trump bullying Zelensky, is that they are sending all their big hitters to Washington, D.C. to help him and support him and help him confront Trump. It's not clear how many of them are going to be allowed into the meeting, although I find it hard to believe that if Merz and Macron and Rutte and Leyen are all going to be there, they're not going to be in a meeting or they're not going to be in the White House. I think somewhere else I read that maybe even the president of Finland will come because he has a good rapport supposedly with Trump. So he might come. This is all out, a full court press, as they say in basketball, on Trump. Maybe with this amount of support for Zelensky, Trump will actually grow some balls. I don't know. It probably not. Maybe during the meeting he'll give in to them and then return to his ballless regular existence. But wow. Maybe Starmer will also join. I don't know if Starmer's going to make the trip. I don't know how good his relationship is. This is quite something. And basically what this tells you is how badly the meeting on Friday went. And as I said at the time, I predicted this. I said, Trump didn't have an agenda going into the meeting. He didn't know what he wanted to achieve. He is not a strategic thinker. He cannot play 3D, never mind 4 or 5D, anything. He went into the meeting assuming that his charm and his, gravitas will influence Putin to give Trump something. And the one thing Trump wanted, and Trump seemingly went into the meeting with just with one thing, was a ceasefire. That Putin put off the table completely. So then now, if you listen to Marco Rubio over the weekend and you listen to Trump himself over the weekend, now they're anti-ceasefire. They don't want a ceasefire. They want a peace deal all the way, no ceasefire in the meantime, which is what Putin has always said. And basically, Trump completely capitulated on what seemingly is the one thing that he went into the meeting wanting to achieve. Putin basically didn't bend on anything. He wants all 4 provinces. The land swap is not the 2 southern provinces that link up to Crimea that Russia has conquered from Ukraine. It's not those 2 provinces. Russia has tiny little bits of land near Sumy and near Kharkiv that they're willing to give up if they get the rest of Donbass and the rest of Luhansk. They've got basically all of Luhansk, so the rest of Donbass. So Ukraine is going to give up their strategic positions in Donetsk to get slightly pieces of land that they're not even worth fighting for in Sumy and Kharkiv. I mean, I don't have a map here with me, but it's absurd. Putin went into the whole thing, both in a press conference and in his meeting with Trump, about the source of the Ukrainian conflict, the real problem between Ukraine and Russia. And the real problem, the source of the problem is that Ukraine's not Russian, that Ukraine should be part of Russia. Again, Putin has not given up anything. He wants Ukraine. And he might take these 4 provinces for now, but he will demand a change in regime in Ukraine. He's going to demand that it be weakened militarily. He might agree to some kind of soft, security guarantee. But Ukraine already has a security guarantee from the United States over the 1996 giving up nuclear weapons. And Putin knows this, and he knows the security guarantee without joining NATO is actually worthless. America, particularly under Trump, is not going to send troops to Ukraine to fight Russia. Ever. It's just not happening. So Putin has nothing to lose by saying, yeah, okay, you can do some kind of security guarantee, but they can't join NATO. Because he knows NATO troops will actually be sent in. In every respect, and talk about principles, one of the principles of foreign policy is you don't negotiate with evil. You do not negotiate with evil unless it's for their surrender. Unless it's for fundamental change towards becoming good. But you don't negotiate with evil. And when you do, you lose. And when you give evil, credit, when you give evil a pedestal, when you give evil, the honor and respect and friendship, then you are going to be eaten alive, which is what Trump gave him. So, red carpet. You saw the photos of U.S. troops on the ground, on their knees, rolling out the red carpet in front of Putin. You give him a red carpet. You greet him warmly with a. I mean, think about how Trump greets people generally. I mean, he shook his hand, he smiled, he patted him on the shoulder. Putin patted him back. Then again, counter to protocol, Putin got into the limo with Trump, not a separate limo, with Trump. And then again, counter to protocol, when the press conference, which wasn't a press conference, it was just a statement to the press, happened, Putin spoke first. Usually the host speaks first, and then Putin follows. But no, Putin got the primary position. And he gave the whole rant about, correcting all the injustices towards Russia. Trump didn't correct anything. He didn't oppose anything. He didn't disagree with anything. He just gave Putin the stage. And then did they take any journalist questions? Well, of course not. Putin doesn't want to take questions from journalists in the West. Putin doesn't want to have to answer. He doesn't want the questions asked, never mind have to answer them. The luncheon was canceled. Putin got a photo up by laying some wreaths at some dead Russians' graves, crossed himself. I mean, he did the whole thing. He got to present himself as a good Christian. Just what a photo op for him. I mean, this boosts his credibility dramatically in Russia and around the world. It reestablishes his position as a world leader, and it makes America and Trump look tiny, not small, tiny. And what was the point? Why did Trump need this? Oh, he wants to bring peace. He just cares about peace. He wants the killing to stop. He doesn't like killing. He's against killing. How can you accuse Trump of anything? He just wants to bring peace to the world. You don't bring peace to the world by capitulating to thugs. You don't bring peace to the world by negotiating with monsters. FDR should have never met with Stalin. You don't, and for that matter, Nixon should have never gone to China. I mean, maybe open up to China. Nixon should have never gone and shook the hands of Mao Zedong. There's nothing to be gained. I said this on Friday. There's nothing to be gained and a lot to lose. A lot to lose. By bolstering evil, by making them stronger, by making them more confident, and by showing your own weakness. By showing your own weakness. And notice the things that Putin said. The things that he said. He didn't say a lot of things, but the things that he said, the things that he emphasized, and the things that Trump said that Putin said. These are the things that matter. They're talking about peace, and they're talking about negotiating about Ukraine, and this is what Putin said. I would have never started this war if Trump were president. Allow me to laugh aloud. I mean, Putin understands Trump to the T. He knows how to push his buttons. He knows how to get on his good side. He knows that he's just bought himself a place in MAGA heaven, and Trump is going to be his best friend now. I would have never started this war if Trump were president. Why? What would have been different? He's not going to tell you. And then the second thing he said is, mail-in ballots, everybody knows they're crooked and they're really bad and they're ripe for fraud. And yeah, mail-in ballots, that's why Trump lost in 2020. Putin said that. Talk about another button he's pushing, another MAGA. He's going to become a MAGA hero at this rate. All he has to do now is talk about Jeffrey Epstein and talk about Pizzagate and pedophilia, and the guy is going to be enshrined in the MAGA Hall of Fame as maybe the next president of the United States. To hell with Trump. Let's go straight to Putin. So Putin plays Trump like a fiddle. He knows exactly which buttons. He knows how to get to his ego. He knows how to please him. He knows how to make as if he's his best friend. And what's Trump going to do? I mean, I wish we had a recording. I wish we had a recording of what happened in that meeting. But I can just see how, Trump would say stuff and Putin would just ignore it and just go on one of his historical lessons about the root causes of the war in Ukraine and how Ukrainians are really Russians. By the way, some of his demands are that Russian become an official language in Ukraine. He's demanding that, right, as a part of this peace deal. That the Russian Orthodox Church has free reign in Ukraine. This is the things that he cares about. He believes Ukraine is part of Russia. Anne is a piece of work. Anne, are you really Scott? I wonder if Anne M. is actually Scott, because she's starting to sound exactly like Scott. I mean, it really is amazing. She says, if these EU leaders are going to D.C., they must think a deal is close. No, they're afraid a deal is close. They're afraid Trump is giving away the whole shebang and he's going to force Zelensky into complete surrender, which is what Putin demanded and what Trump basically accepted. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that Anne could think what she thinks. It's unbelievable to me how Trump has gotten inside. He's like a parasite who gets into some people's brain and starts eating away at it slowly and just turns them into these Trump zombies where they just cannot conceive, they cannot hold a position that suggests that Trump is wrong in any kind of way. It's like, it really is like a parasite that's eating away at your brain. I get on certain issues, but the reason the Europeans are coming to DC is so obvious. The failure of Trump to get anything from Putin was so obvious that to spin this positively, God. I mean, it's like the attempt to spin tariffs positively and a bunch of other really, really stupid things that Trump does as positive. All right. Anyway, I mean, remember how Trump greeted Zelensky when they met? Remember how Trump greets any European leader or any other leader? And look at how he greeted Putin. And how many leaders get met by Trump at the plane, red carpet, warmth, smiles, shakes, touches? That just doesn't happen. It's just haven't happened. I mean, Trump has been always. He's just a Putin. I don't know, what do you call him? He's he is to Putin what Anne is to Trump. He's just a fan. He's a fanboy of Trump's, of Putin's, and he treats him like that. It's astounding, and I don't see how everybody doesn't see it. I really don't. I guess some of you don't see it, but I don't quite understand how that is possible. All right, so let's put this particular issue aside. God, it's hot in here. All right, let's put this particular issue aside. And let's step back, because, as I said, a principle, and I think this is a principle Ayn Rand articulated, it's not my principle, of dealing with leaders of other countries, is you do not negotiate, you do not compromise with evil. You do not deal with evil. She articulates this in the anatomy of a compromise. The only side to benefit from a compromise on principles is the bad side. And there's nothing the good has to gain from evil. And Putin is evil. Hopefully we can agree with that, although Anne might not agree with me. Putin is evil. So that is, I think, a principle of foreign policy. Now, we'll put this into context because that's a little floating. So let's think about for a minute, because foreign policy is complicated. I mean, how do we deal with Russia? How do we deal with Russia in the context of the invasion of Ukraine? How do we deal with Israel and Hamas and Gaza and Iran, and what about Saudi Arabia? And what do we do with China? China's hard. And how do we deal with Taiwan? And what other responsibilities do we have? What do we do with NATO? And what do we do with Australia? Do we have an alliance with Australia? Should we have an alliance with Australia? How do we think about these things? What is the framework that determines how to think about foreign policy issues?